Hi, thanks for tuning into Atomic-Moto's dogfight between two premium MX boot models, the Gaerne SG-12 and the Forma Predator. Let's do a feature-by-feature comparison. The first thing that I'd like to talk about is both of these boots. As you can see, I'll use the inside view. Both of these boots have mechanical pivots, and if you watched any of our videos about off-road boots, you know that the bombers are big fans of boots that have mechanical pivots. You would never wear a knee brace that didn't have a mechanical pivot. It just wouldn't work. And motorcycle boots are the same. To try and get all of this area to be based in plastic, built in plastic, all the area in and around the ankle to be very slim and have a lot of reinforcement is easy to do, but it's very hard to do if you're trying to get all that plastic to bend without some sort of mechanical way of doing so. Mechanically pivoting boots allow the ankle to be much more slim and yet allow a nice easy flex, a nice easy way of bending, and you see that on both of these boots. Both of these two boots, in fact, have dual pivoting hinges, which is a really clever innovation. Dual pivoting hinges more closely mimic the action of the ankle. They give it a little bit more easy flex. Very, very different designs, though. On the SG-12, they call this a two-stage pivot system. It is almost sequential. The way that they describe it, one pivot bends, and then when you end the range of motion on that, you engage the second pivot. The Forma has a dog bone here that is actually made of carbon fiber. One pivot below the ankle, one pivot above the ankle, both on the outside and inner side. And pivots here mostly at the top, and then of course for the extension here, you engage this lower pivot a little bit more. Speaking to the sole construction, let's start from the bottom, work up. Both of the boots have Goodyear welt soles, which means they're both stitched on. That's our favorite preferred method of construction. We like Goodyear welt soles much better than bonded soles. Bonded soles, by the way, are becoming increasingly popular because they have a more modern aesthetic, but they're actually cheaper to manufacture, not as durable, can't be resoled, and not as rigid. So we're old-fashioned guys. We like this Goodyear welt construction. Both of the soles are actually dual compound designs. They come from a collaboration between the respective brands and Skywalk. They're both very rigid. There's probably a little bit less rigidity, a little bit more bending in the forefoot, in the mid of this boot than the Forma. The Forma is probably a little bit more rigid. Working up, they both have extensive plastic all around your foot. Your foot is encased in plastic all the way around, which is as it should be. If you're off-road and you get a frontal impact against the stationary object like a rock or a stump, you want to make sure that you have lots of impact protection around the foot. That's one of the other things that mechanically pivoting boots do. They allow you to put a lot more plastic around the outside of the boot. The plastic compound of both boots, the engineers in this region, these companies go to the same, Gaerne, CD, Alpine Stars, they go to a few different mold makers and plastic raw material suppliers. They really share a lot of the raw material vendors, and so things like plastic compounds and buckle materials and buckles themselves, in fact, are all really, really good stuff and all pretty similar. But the plastic compounds on both these is really nice. That gives the boot a good premium high-end feel. When we get to the buckles, the Gaerne buckle is very different than the Forma buckle. The Gaerne buckle is really simple, probably doesn't cost much to manufacture, a real simple male and female design, not a lot of leverage. The Forma buckle is much more elaborate. It is a machined aluminum buckle. It's got a trick little tab on the end here, and it uses friction, has a little bit more friction to close than the Gaerne. Frankly, the Gaerne's buckle is simpler, cheaper, and way better. This is one of the areas of this boot that we don't care for. The rest of the boot is really cool, but that buckle is something that they need to work on. Speaking to the interiors of the boot, they both have lots of padding on the inside. There's polyethylene foam down to about here, and then they have thick memory foam throughout the ankle area, and running up to about here in the the Gaerne, where it actually thins out a little bit, goes down into the toe box. The Forma is pretty much the same thickness, running all the way forward. That padding on both boots gives you a really nice, secure feel. In the case of the Forma, it is much thicker and much cushier. In the case of the Gaerne, it is thinner and more Spartan. Both boots, particularly this one, when you slide your foot in, this is one of the trick things. It's not really a huge deal, but when you slide your foot into this boot, it kind of goes shunk and thumps inside there, and you have this really secure engagement. You know, the weight of the two boots is something else to talk about. The Gaerne here is, this is a size 11. It weighs about 4.4 pounds. This Forma is about 5.1 pounds for the size 47. Pretty good difference in weight between the two of them. In fact, I want you to look and see the difference in size between the two. But that's the basics. Let's get to our field comments. Big surprise when we actually went out and wore these on the motorcycle. Put them on and walking around in them initially, the compact design of this felt really good, really slim, pretty lightweight. Frankly, as we rode more and more, especially in yesterday's session when we went out and rode them back to back, the more extensive padding of the Forma and the much smoother ankle action of the Predator won us over. You know, the ankle action of this is outstanding. It was one of our favorites until we tried this. You know, this is an outstanding boot, but this one has, especially in terms of the ankle action, has an almost magical ease of flex. It just feels so smooth and so cushy. It will blow you away. The interior padding on the Forma is actually a little bit thicker and just feels a little bit more secure. The Gaerne was actually pretty snug. It packed out rapidly, gained space rapidly, which is a good thing for fit. But it actually opened up a little bit, and the ankle area of the SG-12 is not quite as compact. In fact, you know, you can kind of see that. Let me jostle these so that they're in front of the camera in this view. You know, the overall bulk of the Forma is visibly larger, and the only area where the overall dimension of the boot, the Forma boot, is not bigger is in the ankle area. You can actually see the SG-12 has a little bit more size there. So in our testing and our use, we thought that this one was going to come out on top, and we were pleasantly surprised that that we liked the Predator. It is great to see them go from not having an ultra high-end boot to something that is really on par with top stuff in the market. You know, that's not the whole story, though, because there's a lesson that we learned in this test that we really need to convey. And this isn't a salesman's cop-out. When you get to these really high-end European brands, you can't lose. I mean to emphasize this. They are all so good that we're really splitting hairs and being really nitpicky when we're talking about one over the other. They all do their job so well. If you can step up to these price points, any of the boots that come out of that Veneto region have amazing comfort, amazing protection, amazing durability, and just great feel. That's the one intangible thing that's very hard to measure. The toe area, very different. This is more of a personal preference thing. If you have a high volume foot, in other words, tall, or a wider foot, this is a little bit better. If you prize a low, slim toe box that is very easy to get under the shift lever, the Predator is a little bit bulky there. In fact, that's probably one of its lesser appreciated attributes. The SG-12 is much more slim and compact overall, as visible on the screen here. You know, something that comes up, it's not really a big deal because you only do it 2 or 3 times a ride, but opening and closing the buckles, the SG-12 is much better for that. And the Predator really has a more expensive design that doesn't work as well. You know, in terms of weight, the SG-12 also wins out. It's about a ½ pound lighter. If you're really an active rider on the bike, you move around a lot, or if you're a more minimalist, you're looking for a more minimalist feel in your boots, the SG-12 is the way to go. And we can't help but imagine that they looked at the Crossfire, who's the benchmark for that minimalist lightweight feel. But I want to reiterate, overall, they're both outstanding. However, if we were to pick a winner by a narrow edge, we'd pick these Forma Predators. So that is our dogfight between the two ultra high-end boots from Gaerne and Forma, the SG-12 on this side and the Forma Predator. We are Atomic-Moto, www.atomic-moto.com, home of the Bombers.